Hey, what's up, world? This Awo Fafore.
And this is Awo Osheun. Welcome back again to the Who Made Y'all Priest podcast, where we talk about our spiritual journeys, our everyday life experiences, and the issues of the time from the perspective of two people who just happen to be priests. We are back again. What's going on, Fafore, man? I think this season dedicated to the divine feminine, man, is gonna push us over the top.
I think so too. But before we get to that, I just want to know: do you approve of my shirt?
Oh, I thought that was a baseball jersey. I can't. I thought you was repping the St. Louis Cardinals or something.
Before I hit the record button, I had on a snapback and a white T-shirt.
Right.
And as you see, Osheun is out here looking like, a preacher. So he told me I needed to change so I could look the part. So I just want to make sure you're good with this.
We good, man. I didn't think it was becoming of a priest for you to have on a snapback, man, while we doing the podcast.
Got you. Now I'm just gonna forewarn you though. My snapback is going to make an appearance throughout this season.
Oh, it's hard though. It's hard. It's a hard snapback. It's gonna have to make an appearance when it's just me and you though.
Oh, okay. Because we got guests.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
And our guest tonight, she's known for showing up dressed apart for real. So.
Oh yeah. I wonder if when she come in, she gonna have one of the masks on or something going on.
I know.
Iya Asabi shows out.
I think the first time I ever saw Iya Asabi, she had on the black beads that went over her shoulder. Remember? Yeah. That reminded me of something off of the 10 Commandments. I was like, like, man, she dressed like a Pharaoh's wife.
Yeah, she came hard for what was that?
That was the Bimbe. That was the Obatala Bimbe.
Yeah, for the part of the festival.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. Part of the festival. Yeah.
And then for the conference, I'm gonna have to find a picture, and we're gonna have to post it before this episode. Where on the last one, where she had the mask on, because I said something to her, she was like, "Oh, wait till the Bimbe this time." And we're talking about the conference that just passed in June. Yeah, she had a whole mask on and everything. I said, "Oh yeah, you ain't playing."
Right. Right, man. Right.
Yeah, we might well just go ahead and get started. We're gonna go ahead and pull her in.
Yeah, man.
Boom.
Iya Asabi, Aboro Boye.
Agwo Toa Shori Wori Food. How are you both doing?
We are
good,
doing well.
Good. How are you?
I'm amazing. I'm living the dream.
We appreciate you spending some time with us this evening. We know it's late there. Are you in New York?
I am in New York, and it's only like 7:40, so it's not too late. But no, I appreciate you, inviting me. I'm so honored and just happy to be here. So thank you.
Well, the reason why he said it was late because Osheun in our time is sleep at that time.
Ashe.
Yeah, so I get up early.
Ashe.
So it's real late as far as he's concerned.
It is.
What time is it over there? It's only like 6.
It's 6:50. It's 6:50 right now. Yeah, I'd be laying in the bed right now.
Ashe, I hear
that. So, Iya, please introduce yourself to the family and let them know who you
are. I am Iya Asabi Ifatola Oyakemi Eshu Yemi by Yemi Akambe. And I'm based out of Brooklyn, New York.
Ashe.
I need to get some names like that one
day. I know
it.
Ashe. So tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, obviously we know about you, but for the rest of the family that's listening, tell them a little bit about yourself and tell us about your spiritual journey. Like, how did you get here?
Ashe. I am from New Jersey originally. I grew up on the Jersey Shore. My spiritual journey has probably been a very lifelong one, almost from like elementary school, it feels like. Yeah, so from New Jersey, my mother is a witch, for lack of a better term. Definitely grew up with weird things in the closet, weird things in the refrigerator, and all of my aunts were like that as well. So my spiritual journey pretty much started as far back as I could remember. And probably like some of the first things were my father would, I would be in the car with my father and we would just be driving who knows where. And I would see cemeteries and I would ask him to pull over so I can kind of frolic in the cemetery. And he would entertain me every time.
Wow.
And they weren't cemeteries that were taken care of. They were cemeteries that were old and decrepit and just kind of forgotten about. So he would let me walk in and we would walk around and touch headstones. And, you know, I always wanted those old cemeteries to feel like, or those graves to feel like they weren't forgotten, you know, so just be talking to them and touching them and all the things. And then, you know, when I got a little smarter, you know, maybe a grade up in elementary school, you know, I was selling love spells for milk money. So, you know, I was doing things. You know, like I said, like my mother was, you know, someone called me a heathen the other day. So, and that's kind of what it was. Like my father came from like a Baptist background. My grandmother was Baptist, but my mom was she's Puerto Rican, so she's first generation here in New York. She grew up in Brooklyn. And so I just had a very open experience, just kind of introduced to a lot of things. So, you know, spirits and, you know, my mother, you know, spiritually cleaning houses and doing readings and, you know, those are just things that were a part of my childhood. So, so my mother was a clairvoyant. My aunt was really good with tarot cards. So she did all the divination. And my other aunt was kind of like I call her dream weaver, but she was the one that I would go to help kind of decipher all of our dreams or, you know, what she thought and things like that. So I kind of just grew up in this space of spiritual people and spiritualists and, you know, the unknown and the unspoken about. So then as I got older, I actually, so I have a bunch of parents, FYI. I have like 3 of each. So my adopted parents are priests. So those are the ones that maybe you've met at conference or have seen around. So when they adopted me, they were very big in the Kemetic system. My father actually studied all religions. And it was very fascinating to see Jehovah's Witness come to the house because he would sit them down, he'd get them tea, get them all the things, and he would be schooling them so much so that they wouldn't come back. So it was always very, you know, very interesting in the households that I lived in. But, you know, from him doing that, from him studying all religions, I was able to kind of pick and choose which I liked and which I didn't like, which I could have, you know, which pieces I would apply to my life and which that I would just kind of leave alone. So I was very thankful for him for that opportunity to be able to be exposed to so many things in such a short amount of time. Wow. But then eventually, you know, they became priests and I was just like, okay, I don't really know what that is, but whatever makes you happy type of thing. And then Ifa started to call to me. It was either like, you know, you can get down or you can lay down. You know, you can, you know, with the program or you can, you know, keep falling, you know. Yeah, because life was a little hard by the time, you know, Ifa really started to call to me. I had gotten into a really bad car accident at the gates of the cemetery.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was real. And my parents were like, I think it's time for you to have a reading. So I was like, okay, you know, I'll get a reading. Absolutely. So I just went out here because I live in Brooklyn. So I just went and there's just, you know, just a bunch of spiritualists everywhere. So I just went to a botanica that I frequent and I got a reading and he was just like, oh, you need to be crowned. You need to be this, you need to be that, all the things. So I told my parents and they were like, okay, well, we know somebody that you can get your hand of Ifa through. Or you can go with this. And he was a Lukumi priest. He was like, or you can go with this Lukumi priest. So I kind of sat with it for a little bit because I really wanted to make sure that I honored my lineage, right? So I'm Puerto Rican and Black. So, but I grew up, you know, with a lot of Spanish influences. So it was very important for me to be able to honor both sides. So just got another reading, and Ifa said to, you know, go with what, you know, where my parents were taking me. So I did. And I met Baba Femi. I met Baba Femi, our Luo, on the mat. I went to Virginia to get my hands of Ifa, which was also beautiful in a way because I was born in Virginia.
Wow.
I'm a Navy brat. So I was born between the river and the oceans. I'm a child of two waters. And to be able to go back there and get my hand of Ifa was a very beautiful thing. So I met Baba Femi on the mat. Me and my younger sister got our hand of Ifa together. And the rest is history. You know, that's, you know, they let me in and just been, you know,
Right.
do whatever I can, wherever I can. So, I mean, yeah, so that's pretty much my story, how I got to Ifa.
And as our Luo says, you can't make this up. You got the kind of the fork in the road for you was a bad car accident in front of a cemetery.
Right.
And then you go have the, you know, your hand of Ifa in Virginia where you were born. Like that's a lot of symbolism.
Right.
A lot of symbolism. Like you couldn't have told me, and you still can't tell me that, oh yeah, wasn't like, girl, you need to get over here and get these things done. It was a really, really beautiful time because even with that car accident, my nephew was born around that time as well. And still to this day, he calls me Auntie Oya. And it's so weird, you know, like to have that, that he just made that up, you know, that's what he wanted to call me. And I was just like, please never call me anything else. Like, I love it. It's so beautiful.
Right.
So
Right.
it was you know, it was definitely a lot of things going on that, you know, pushed me into the arms of Ifa, or called me, you know, to answer this path and this calling. So yeah,
it's like Oya doesn't send messages subtly. I mean, it would have been another way, you know.
Right.
Like the car accident.
let me tell you, you know, I love Oya so much, but at that point in time, like especially, yeah, she wasn't playing. Like she was about to put in all the works, you know, for me to get on the path. But yeah, nothing was subtle, nothing was quiet. Everything was loud. Everything was in your face. So, and I'm appreciative, you know, because I can be a little hard headed. So I'm happy that she understood what I needed to be able to get here.
All y'all people.
Yep. I got some Oya people in my family. So kind of give you for the listening audience a story of how I met, or how we met Asabi, and then how I was introduced to Asabi. So in our lineage, in our Ile, we have this thing called Road to Priesthood class. So if you are about to enter into the priesthood, or if you were just recently out of Ibodu or out of your initiation, there's a class that we have to take. And it's not to learn how to be a priest or how priests act or anything like that. It's really for you to do that deep dive into who you are, right? And, you know, what are your skeletons and what are your issues and what are those things that you have to work through so that you can show up for people who you have to, or who are sent to you, right? So kind of working through your stuff. So myself, Osheun, and Asabi was in the same class. So that's how we all met. Now, the way I was introduced to her is we had an Ifa festival. And it was supposed to be conference, but because of COVID, conference was shut down, and we had Ifa festival, which is usually smaller. But and we got a lot of people here in Houston. That's where it was held. But you know, New York always, you know, shows up and shows out.
Right.
You know, so Iya, she came to Ifa Festival. She came down to Houston, and that was the first time we were able to meet her in person. But how I was introduced, there was a lot of priests there. Now, there was probably at this one, I would say 30 plus priests. And there's an offering and things going on. So Baba is gathering what I call the heavy hitters, all the senior people together. Hey, I need you to do this. I need you to do that. And then there was one thing in particular that Baba needed to be done. And then he says, hey, Asabi. I said, oh, for real? So he calls Asabi, to come do it. And I'm watching Asabi do her thing. And I'm like, she's, older in the priesthood than us, but just barely. And she came in and was doing her thing. So the festival is over with. And, since O'Shea and I are local in Houston, so probably a week later, we're back over there at the compound. And I asked Bob, I said, hey, Bob, I noticed when we had, the festival and all that going on, you called Asabi out to do this, that, and the other. I said, Asabi gets busy, and I know she hasn't, been there longer than us. Right. Like, how you know that she got busy like that? He was like, oh yeah, I done peeped Asabi. Asabi, she's been around for a while, and she's, not first generation to this. So she was born into this. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So that's how I was introduced. I said, oh, when he called your name, I was like, oh, for real?
Okay. Giving thanks, Ashe. Yeah. That was a beautiful moment. That was a beautiful moment for me, for sure.
Yeah. I always tell Fafore, we met you in the same place in the Road to Priesthood class.
Mm-hmm.
But at the festival, I remember I tell Fafore, I say Asabi came to the Bembe dressed like a pharaoh's wife. She had the black beads and everythwe I was like, wow. I was like, she's a pharaoh's wife.
Ashe. Giving thanks, Ashe. We got. I don't come to Houston often, so when I come to Houston, I come through with the heavy hitters. You know what I'm saying? Right. I come through. I don't want to play. I'm just there to have a good time and all the good things. But yeah, I love Houston, and I remember you saying something to me at the Bembe too.
Yeah.
Ashe. Y'all are dope.
So we know, but for our listeners, so how long have you been a priest, and what have you been doing in that capacity? What is your job as a priest?
Ashe. So I was initiated into Ifa, Eshu, and Oya in February 2020, 2020, excuse me, in Abeokuta, Nigeria. So I'm coming up on 3 years this February. I'm a Iawo. I am a student of students. And in my class in Nigeria, I was the last in line. So I just support any way that I can. I show up. There aren't many things that I don't show up to here in New York or that I'm asked to be a part of. So I try to show up as much as possible. I do a little bit of everything. I have godchildren. I do readings. I am one of the secretaries here in New York. I am also senior Apetabi leadership here in New York, and one of the co-authors for our SODE manual here in OIDSI. So, I just show up however I can, whenever I can, but very much still, just the ELO, just still learning, still, trying to be humble, trying to get all of the lessons and all of the things in. I know I, just have a lot to learn. So, I, just try to, do what I can.
Right. It's a lifelong study. I believe me and Fafore talk about that all the time, that there's enough information for us to study forever. So forever and ever. So yeah, we really thank you for showing up, though. You show up and you show out all the time.
Ashe, we thank you, Pa. We thank the Eguns. Ashe.
Ashe. One of the things that I always say is that we need to have more grace for one another as Ifa practitioners, as Aberishas.
Ashe.
Being that the overwhelming majority of the people, or probably 99% of the people that I've met in the tradition, are first generation, with the exception of you. You have had that experience growing up in spirituality.
Ashe.
So how has that helped you as you travel this path? And obviously, so many of our God brothers and God sisters who are first generation. How has growing up, second, third generation into spirituality benefited you?
I think it's just allowed me to be more open to possibility, right? So my father, Baba Odumosu, his uncle, his godfather practiced Ifa. So that's where he was able to get it from. And then, just seeing my parents work, just being around, when Ellie Bouiban comes to the house, and things like that, just being able to be in service has allowed me to be in service, allowed me to kind of have an eye for things, allowed me to, just kind of see things from a different perspective, or just be more helpful or submissive in the things that I need to be, to be able to support what's going on. But it really is a beautiful thing. My parents are such a wonderful, they're such an asset, but they come from a different lineage. So my father is like he's like a historian on some level. So he collects Ifa, like he collects stories, he collects Odus, he collects books. And I don't know where he gets these things from, but it is very helpful for me when I'm studying Odu. And I'm like, hey, have you heard about this? Or do you have information on this? And he's able to kind of give me some more traditional background on things and give me more, a new perspective on things, but outside of my mother and my father, I'm also like very lucky and blessed to be here in New York because, for a while we had Baba Obani and then we still have, Baba Fabalasi here. And I've learned so much from them. So to be able to have, our Luo, my father, the two Babas that are here, I've really got to expand and, get a lot of questions answered. Yeah, so it's just kind of just helped me to be a better pet, helped me to be a better priest. That's how I feel about it. But yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I've had to reach out, and Bayun has definitely reached out to Fabalasi.
Right.
Our whole process on how we do Elbow Riru, we cross-reference that with him, so.
Absolutely. I mean, he is my mentor and my teacher, and he is no joke. Like he is. I've had a lot of readings. I've met a lot of Babalaos because of my father. So I met Popola, I've met Ali Guiban, I've met a few other popular Babalaos and got to do some works with them or for them. But I really, really enjoy the beauty that Favalasi brings to Ifa. And also the fact that he's able to explain things in an elementary way, be able to explain things in even a poetic way sometimes. It's very, very fascinating. So he's an amazing Babala. I'm so thankful that he's here in New York, and so thankful that he's helped me with my Riru and all of the things. Just being able to have access to him like that is a blessing, and I'm very, very lucky. So I hear you.
So being that this season is dedicated to the divine feminine, I would be remiss to not ask you about something that you just said or a term that you used. You use the term submissive, and that seems to be a word that has a negative connotation here in the West, in a Western tradition. When you use the term submissive, what does that mean to you?
For me, it just means no ego, just kind of showing up, and just being what's needed, right? Not really leading, not dominating, just being in the space where whoever is leading, whatever is needed, I'm able to show up for with no ego, right?
Right.
And that's pretty much, what it entails for me, especially in a spiritual sense. So yeah, just doing the job.
Right, and that's a beautiful thing to me that you can use that word, and that's what it means to you. So you are a priest of Oya, one of the very strong feminine deities in our tradition. For those that have never heard about Orisha, what and who is Oya?
Ashe. Mama Oya, she is well, first, Oya means to tear. It means to, or the terror, right? She is a warrior queen. She is the tempest. She is the spirit of air or the wind. She is, the mother of the nine. She is the owner of the marketplace. She is the Orisha of change and transformation. She is the favorite wife of Shango. She is Ashe. She is the royal princess of a place called I hope I say this right, but it's Enupi. I think it's Enupi. And then she later becomes the queen of Oyo, right? She is the one we use when we're talking about women in independence. She's the one we use when we're talking about women for justice or justice for women, or liberation for women. Those energies definitely represent her and speak to her and who she is very well. She is, she is the one who uses destruction to, to have regrowth and able to regenerate. She is the one who works with mediumship. She is the one, she causes storms. She is so many things. She works with the Eguns very closely. She's probably one of the most feared and misunderstood Orishas within the Pantheon. So she's dope. That's my girl. Yeah, I love her so much. But yeah, for a lack of, just for simplicity, those are the things that she represents.
Right. Okay. And knowing that the deities manifest differently for different people, how does Oya manifest for you?
When I first found out about Orisha, I was always very drawn to Oya because she just seemed so much like me, right? I definitely have a warrior spirit. I am a Navy vet. I am a martial artist. And she just spoke to me in those ways, right? So, and she also reminded me of Storm, right? And Storm is probably my favorite superhero, and, who I wanted to be like growing up. So she just spoke to me in all those ways. So, when I got crowned Oya, like I thought she was going to be all these, bang bang kind of and that is not my Oya at all, right? Not at all. She has that big mama energy. She is very chill. She's all about patience. She's all about the breath, slowing down. And that's like she has like, are y'all familiar with Lama Damas?
No.
Ashe. So Lama Damas they look like, well, I have one right behind me, but it's usually a statue. Her skin is very, very dark. She's usually in like a red or blue dress of some sort, and she has like a broom or a basket. And spiritualists use her as a spirit guide. It's not just one, there are a bunch of Lama Damas, but they use her as a spirit guide for like just regular everyday things. But she's based off of the big mama in the house, right? So when our people were enslaved, there was definitely the big mama in the house who knew all the herbs, who was doing the cooking, she was doing the healing, she was taking care of the children, and that's who she is, right? So we use the Lama Damas to kind of call upon our enslaved ancestors to be able to help us through life, right? And that is kind of what my Oya is like. I am a priest of all roads of Oya. So she kind of just encompasses all of these things. Like she just has this big mama energy. And she really is just, very grounding, very gentle, very patient, very soothing, and just super, super chill. When I go to her, usually the first message from her is just patience. Right. which it's like, but it makes sense, right? Because I have in life shown up very aggressive, right? Even though I think I have always shown up in a very feminine way, or projected very feminine. I've had very masculine aspects about me. So to have her, to be crowned with her and to be crowned with this energy, she's the complete opposite of that. It's all about just, finding resolution, being peaceful, being the peacemaker. And that's how my Oya shows up. Though I will say, she does not play about me, which I love. When I go to her and, things are not right, or, I'm upset, or any of the things, she definitely, shows up and shows out. So I'm always like super, super grateful for her, because she shows up particularly in my personal relationships with people. But yeah, she is definitely, that crone energy. So, when we talk about feminine energy with the Orishas, you kind of have that mother, maiden, crone, those three pillars. So if the mother is Yemoya, if the maiden is Oshun, Oya is definitely the crone, and she definitely shows up as an older, wise, patient woman in my life. So, Ashe.
Right. And so, since your involvement with Ifa, and even before Ifa, and coming into the knowledge of these very powerful feminine deities, has that changed the way that you think about yourself as a woman, or womanhood specifically?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like I said, like I think I've always been presented feminine, right? But there's just very strong, I'm an Aries, I'm Spanish, I'm from Jersey. I have a very, like I have this very strong personality about me, and the way that I can come across sometimes can be, very strong, just kind of maybe even overbearing at times. So having the Orishas and having to work with, because I got to work with all three. They don't allow me to just work with Oya. Like Oshun is very much in all of my Odus. So is Yemoja. You know what I'm saying? So I work with all of them very regularly, and they have definitely helped me to be softer. To be softer with myself, especially, which is in turn has caused me to be softer with the rest of the women in my life, including my children, because I have 2 daughters. So yeah, I think that's the biggest part is, recognizing, I can have the same effect, but be, a little gentler, a little more softer. So absolutely.
Right. And that was going to be my next question, was about your relationships with other women. How has that changed? Because like you said, you can come off as abrasive, as aggressive.
Right.
So how has that changed with your relationship with other women, particularly women that you don't know?
I'm just easier, right? And not and I mean that in the sense of just like I'm not easily offended, I mean, maybe that comes with maturity as well, but just able to have a little bit more wisdom and compassion towards other women, right? And just kind of work with them where they're at, right? So yeah, I think that's really the biggest thing, and just having more compassion, because I definitely was lacking on that in my earlier years. But just, yeah, more compassion, just more love, more understanding, or trying to understand their perspective or where they're coming from, and just more appreciation. I definitely think since I've been with Ifa, I've come to the understanding of just, it's hard out here for women, in a lot of different respects. So, I definitely try to be a girl's girl, right? I try to compliment, I try to, just give love and big up random women that I know, myself, my children, all the things, just try to, give love and, just give some light and, just some encouragement, to keep moving forward. So, Ashe.
That's dope. That's dope. I've often said that our Luo had to be my Luo. Like, just him being who he is. Like, when we met, I was like, I don't think being a life path 7 needing, and as O'Shea and myself were always told, being overly masculine, I needed a certain type of energy from someone who would be my Luo. And when, I met Bob, I was like, yeah, I can get with this guy.
Right.
Being that you had those other influences from your family and your extended family, when did you know, like, yeah, this is the guy. This is going to be my Luo.
Like I said, I didn't meet Baba until on the mat for my Ishe 5, right? And I guess at some point I could have been like, this ain't working, I'm gonna do something else, right? But it all made perfect sense, right? Like meeting Baba, his energy, having like 20 priests in the room, you know what I'm saying? Like it just all made sense. Especially because I think traditionally, correct me if I'm wrong, but traditionally, when you are a child of a Babalao, you're sent to another compound, you're sent to another Babalao to be taught.
You are.
So
yeah. Like to line up with whatever your Orisha.
Right. So, having my parents send me to him made sense in that aspect. And then meeting him and then meeting all the other priests that were there, it made total sense, even because there was these Spanish speaking priests in there, and I was like, oh my God, I was like, where I'm supposed to be, I was so happy. And Baba has just been great. Baba is amazing. Like, I love Baba. I really don't think I could have had a better Luo. I didn't choose him. Obviously, Spirit chose him for me. And it makes perfect sense. Like, because the guy that I got that reading from, that Lukami priest, he did what I was told was he spiritually gangbanged me. Pause. Okay, but it was really jacked up because he invited me to his Ile. He wanted me to get all this work done. He wanted me to get my my hand up Rumila with him, and I wind up going with Baba. So when I saw him afterwards, and I tried to schedule a reading for my friend, he went off. He was like, you chose to go to a different house. He was like, I'll never do spiritual work for you again, blah, 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 this, that, and the third. I was like, oh my God. I was like, yo, this has never happened to me before. And
wow.
I was flabbergasted. I couldn't believe, like, a year later, he had said this to me. So I'm like, you have been, like, you've seen me this whole time. I'm still coming into this Botanica buying stuff, and you've seen me this whole time. And you're just now saying this. You must have been mad for a long time. So when that happened, I was like, yes, thank you for this confirmation, because that type of energy, that type of Babalao, like, it wouldn't have worked. It wouldn't have worked at all. So I definitely, thank my Eguns and, spirit guides and Orishas and Ori and all the things, that they sent me to Baba, because Baba Femi is exactly who I needed. So
right. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because O'Shea and myself, we're not like biased. You know what I'm saying? Like, E5 was our path, and we know that's not everybody's path.
O'Shea.
But we're also not here to sugarcoat. I mean, we're humans as well. There are human beings inside the tradition who do human things. So we're not here trying to paint this picture that, you come to E5, everybody's perfect, and that's the whole night. So I'm glad that you said that, because again, we're here to be honest and present things as it is. And, we have flawed people in everything. That does not mean the system is flawed. Matter of fact, I don't believe any system is flawed. I just believe the people who practice are flawed.
Right. Okay. And shit. You ever read those Apotheques? They do some very human things. You know what I'm saying? Like, they be all out here, you know what I'm saying, sleeping with each other's wives and, stealing this and that, all the things, they talk about all these very human things that they go through. So, I love Baba for the fact of not making our lineage or our practice so pious, right?
Right.
You know, he really allows us to have space to be human, to make mistakes, and to also be able to, you know, learn from them and elevate, you know? So yeah, I appreciate Bob, and I love the way he does things. Yeah. Thank God. Cause I wouldn't have lasted in that Luke and Me house, not for 1 second.
You know, I'm glad y'all talked about Baba, because there's this inside joke with me and Fafore about when I went and got my very first reading from Baba. And when I left, I called Fafore and I'm telling him, I'm like, man, say you gotta come and see this Baba, man. You know, I sat on the mat with him. He dropped his little gold chain, and man, he told me he told me all these things about my life and things like that. And Fafore was like, so you ain't tell him nothing. You ain't tell him nothing. So, you know, Fafore's his main reason for going to go and get his first reading was to prove me and Baba wrong. And it was that was crazy. But for me, Baba had to be Maoluo. He's the type of guy that I needed to be Maoluo. I always think about Baba that I respect him because he's divine, and I love him. I love him because he's down to earth. You know, he can talk to us about a very complex philosophical tenet concerning E5, and then tell us what's going on with the basketball game. So yeah, so that's a blessing to have.
But hold on. In my defense, though, I'm a life past 7. You know what I'm saying? I'm all about the facts. You know what I'm saying? I needed some information. Like that didn't sound right. The facts, you know. So
Ashe, I get it. I get it. Yeah.
Right.
Did y'all get readings often before you met Baba?
Never.
Wow. Ashe.
That's crazy how it's crazy how I ended. If you would have asked me today, how did you find E5? My answer, and the true answer, would be, I don't know. I don't remember. I really don't remember. I just remember Googling African spirituality near me. But that's a longer story, because of, you know, why I was searching for that, searching for my ancestors and things like that. But I knew it wasn't an accident though. So yeah, but never in life would I have even thought about going to get a reading from somebody. Never in life.
Wow, that's interesting. Ashe. That's
I've only heard about readings like in the Miss Cleo, like that type of thing. I've never heard of it in any other context. You know, so we would share everything. We just like, hey man, I'm reading this book about this.
Ashe.
You know, oh yeah, I heard about that. All right, I'm familiar with. Tell me about it. So, and we're going back and forth all the time. He just hit me up one day, said, hey man, I went to go hear this dude speak. And all the stuff we been talking about, he was on it. So I was like, all right, I'll come check him out. And I went and heard him speak. O'Shea would have maybe been over there a couple times before me and to check it out. And then he was like, yeah, it's legit. Come check him out. So I went and in his living room, and I was like, oh yeah, dude, snapping. Like, you know. But when he told me about the other stuff he was doing, you know, I was like, yeah, I mean, dude, deep. You know what I'm saying? But that's a little bit too much for me to believe. You know. But when I went to that first reading, though, when I sat on the mat, he asked me, "You have any questions?" I said, "Yeah. What I do next?" Like, I do that. Like,
right.
Hook me up.
It didn't take long at all. It didn't take long at all for me to decide. As a matter of fact, I decided on the mat. When I got my very first reading. What do I do next to learn how to do what you're doing?
Ashe.
Like, what's next? I decided on the mat, very first reading. But back to Oya.
Ashe.
Back to Mother Oya. So Oya is a very strong and sometimes, most of the time, seemingly a warlike deity.
Absolutely.
So how has Oya given you courage in situations where you probably would not have had courage otherwise?
You know, I'm sure I'm not the only one, But you know, I didn't need courage. I needed to calm down.
You
You know,
tell me she was a
like,
martial artist, Navy vet. She had that
you
part.
know, like, right. You know, I didn't need any more hype. You know what I'm saying? I didn't
Right.
need any more, you know what I'm saying? I didn't need a whisper in my ear. I didn't need, go ahead and do it. I didn't need none of that, right? I needed to slow down. I needed to, pump my brakes, and calm down. So, it's beautiful that that she still chose me, right? Even though that's not particularly how she shows up, right? She shows up with these machetes, and she's cutting off heads, and she's the first in battle and all the things, right? So I know I didn't need any more of that, and she knew that I didn't need any more of that. So for her to show up in my life to to put some of this fire down a little bit, is a very beautiful thing. So I'm blessed to be able to see her in not such an aggressive light. I'm blessed to be able to see her as a woman, right? As a queen, as a ruler, as, someone who is nurturing, someone who, just
Right.
brings this beauty and this calmness, into my life, because she is a mother. She takes care of children. She is a nurturer. She's also another water deity, so she's able to, wash some things away. Not only blow things away, but she's able to wash some things away as well. So for her to show up in my life that way has really been exactly what I needed. So I'm grateful that she's given me the courage, probably, to be able to trust enough that she is a safe space for me to release, right? To release some control, to surrender to her, surrender to Ifa and Eguns and all the things, for them to be able to take care of me in ways that I thought I could only take care of me.
Right.
So yeah, so that's probably how she has given me courage.
And Oya is my mother also.
Ashe.
And Oya seems to kind of show up for me in that way also, because like you, I was and I'm still working on it, but aggressive and kind of abrasive and wild and out there and things like that. I tell Fafori all the time that if it wasn't for me going to prison, he and I probably would have never met. It was prison was needed for me. So so that the aggressiveness is still there. Like I still think about certain things, but
Yo, I feel you 1,000%. Ashe, I get it.
Right, but I think she's prepared me to deal better with change.
Ashe.
To deal better with change, because I'm a creature of habit. I like things to be in order. I like things to go a certain way.
Ashe.
I don't like surprises. I like to, I like things to be set. I want to know what's going on, when it's happening, and
Ashe.
things like that. So yeah, she's calmed me down a lot also, thankfully. Yes.
Ashe. Yes, giving thanks.
It's funny. I laugh because I remember one time. I remember Baba had asked. I don't know if he said a location or how he presented it, but essentially about you being from the suburbs.
Right.
And oh man, who's that kid? No, Bob, you're gonna have to get introduced to Oshayun.
Right.
Ashe.
Right. Our godmother knows though. She tells me all the time. She say there's a fire inside of you that you don't show over here. She was like, I can see it. She say, I can see it. She was like, so you're calm here, but she was like, I can see the fire inside of you. So yeah. That's how
I feel you. My other Orisha is Eshu, so as soon as people hear that, they're just like,
she crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the first thing that comes out of their mouth. So,
right.
I get it. Absolutely.
Yeah, I see how that come up. As been stated before, we have dedicated this entire season to the divine feminine. So other than our Luo all the other interviewers, or all the interviewees, I should say, will be women.
Ashe.
Because at our initiation, it was said that all 10 of us had to tap into that divine feminine. We were
Ashe.
overly masculine. We had to figure that whole thing out. So Osheun and myself, we like, okay, we go turn to books, you know. And the books really wasn't getting it.
Ashe.
You know, like you know how like you'll be looking for something and you don't know the answer, obviously, but you know when you found what you were looking for. And when it comes to the divine feminine, we haven't quite found what we were looking for.
Right.
And I said it when we interviewed Baba that all of last season was about our experiences. It was also about things that we have been studying over years, and you know, we feel like we kind of can talk about it because we know a little bit about it because we studied it. We're taking our listeners on a journey with us to uncover this divine feminine thing, and so they can kind of see how we grow through this whole thing and
Ashe.
how we end up on the other side. So with that, we're looking for you to help us get to that place. So I'm gonna ask you, how would you define the divine feminine, and why is it important?
Why is it not important?
Hey.
You know, so the divine feminine, right? Here in New York, we like to say that the divine feminine is a living, moving, ever evolving thing, right? So what today the divine feminine looks like is not going to look like that tomorrow. It's not going to look like that a day from now, not a year from now, right? It is something that is constantly evolving. It is something that is constantly growing, right? So it is, you know, it's very important to understand that, you know, we live in this highly patriarchal world, right?
Right.
And the balance is needed. You know, there has been so much disrespect to the divine feminine, to the feminine forces in nature, for the feminine forces, you know, just women in general. So I think that, you know, it's very important for us to tap into the divine feminine first within ourselves, then within our environment, and then, you know, with those that are around us. And, you know, the divine feminine, you know, is, you know, self-love, it is intuition, it's, you know, the beauty of the darkness, it's the beauty of the light, you know, it's, you know, contraction and expansion. It is, you know, today it is, like I said, like today it might be all the beautiful, sensual, soft things, and tomorrow it might be search and destroy, right? So it is, it really just, you know, depends on where you're at, right? But I think on a very basic level, it's about being authentic in the flow, right? Being authentic in this fluid space, being in the flow of things, being in balance. You know, I think divine feminine energy shows up as, you know, lovers, warriors, strategists, you know, just all of these different things. I think it's really hard to put divine feminine energy in a box, right? And I think for me, honoring the divine feminine is knowing that that is not the, like, they can't be put into a box, right? It cannot be just one thing, and it will never be just one thing. What the divine feminine looks like for me right now in this moment could look totally different from someone who has different life experiences, different age, you know, different wisdoms, and comes from different environments. But I think, you know, it's just important. You know, I think it's important because it allows us to have this balance, allows us to see ourselves in an authentic way. It allows us to, you know, just take care of ourselves, right? I think divine feminine is all about being just in just luxury, right? A life of luxury, a life of just wisdom, a life of sensuality, just being around beautiful things, just doing beautiful things, doing things that give you pleasure, doing things that, you know, make you happy. I think this is the divine feminine, right? And being able to surrender into this, you know, into this appreciation of this beauty of life is divine feminine. But so like I said, for right now, that's what divine feminine looks like, and I'm sure that it'll look different tomorrow and in a year from now, just, for other people. So I also think it's super, super beautiful that you're asking so many women what the divine feminine is and how it shows up and how you can tap in. Because I think that's where it's at. I think you're going to get a lot of different beautiful answers. And yeah, and I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see the responses that you both get, because I'm sure there's going to be just so much beautiful wisdom in those answers. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we know that. We know that too. I'm glad you define the divine feminine like that. I was just at Baba's, and Baba said that the divine feminine is everything. That it is balance. That balance is the divine feminine. And in every tradition that I knew about before coming to Ifa, when wisdom was spoken of, it was feminine. The Sophia is feminine. That's where we get philosophy from. Right. So Baba said that the divine feminine is everything. And I think that that's probably why we will never, ever come to the real, no definitive answer. Right. This is also why when I think of God, the supreme being, in my mind, even though I intellectually know that the supreme being has to have both, when I think of the creator, I think of a woman. I just really believe that the creator is, like I said, intellectually I know both. Right. But yeah, in my mind, the creator is a woman. So yeah. But I believe we'll get a lot of good answers this season.
When I think of the divine feminine, one thing that comes to me, I think of the mystery, that darkness that holds the key to you unveiling your superpower. Like I've told people, being that I have a stellium in the 12th house, I always say, if I learn how to tap into that divine feminine, I'm gonna unlock my superpower and I'm gonna be cold. Let me find the key to unlocking that mystery that holds my superpower. I said I'm gonna be dangerous.
Right.
So with that, I ask you, how does one tap into that divine feminine?
I think it starts with, trying to understand and tap into your intuition. Right? Because that's where your intuition is, right? It's in that darkness. It's in that place of mystery. So I think it starts there, but I also think, all the things that I said before, like self-care is a real thing, right? Being rest, nurturing yourself, writing, working on, surrounding yourself with things that are beautiful, things that are pleasurable, just allowing yourself to kind of be, allowing yourself to just, just giving yourself these hugs, right? And not in a physical way, but in a spiritual way, right? In a mental way, where you're able to just really nurture yourself. I think that's kind of where a lot of it is for me, just nurturing yourself, giving yourself that self-care, and just, really allowing space for that intuition, that voice to come through, right? And speak to you and tell you what it needs, what it's looking for, what you need, and all of the things. So yeah, for me at this point in time, I would say that, just nurture yourself, being fluid, having compassion with yourself, just being in a state of flow, tapping into building up, understanding your intuition are probably some of the foundational things or more basic things with tapping into your intuition, in my humble opinion.
Right, right. And this is why I think women are more tapped into spirituality than us men, because that's my struggle, is the intuition thing, because I don't listen. I don't listen to that intuition because I let my, what I'll call intellect, get in the way. I need something to make sense in my mind. It doesn't, at the time, it doesn't matter that spirit is speaking to me. If it doesn't make sense to me, then I can't do it. So I think that's going to be one of my struggles, and one of the things that I need to tap into is into my intuition. So I'm going to be working on that. I'm going to be working on that.
Actually, I will. Actually,
that's your life path number. I mean, that 11, that is supposed to be a strength, but you understand the duality of it.
Right.
A lot of times there's that issue with me being a 7. Both of our life path numbers are spiritual numbers. But for me, it's always that fight between the logic and the intuition. And for the overwhelming majority of my life, if my logic disagree with my intuition, I'm always going the logical route as a life. If intuitively I feel something, and then I go through the logical checks and balances and then check out, are we good?
Right.
No argument, we're good. But as soon as my intuition says left and my logic says right, and I can't logically explain the way the intuition is saying go, I never go that route. And I always come back that I made the wrong decision, but I couldn't understand how I knew that was the answer.
Right.
So I couldn't follow it. So that's our struggle. You know what I'm saying? So, but I have to say thank you. Thank you so much. You know, we both of our North Nodes in the 11th house. So we thought we were doing this for other people. You know, we thought we were honoring our North Node to bring something to the people. But I think we get as much, if not more, than the people who listen. And I've gotten, and I know O'Shea Ewan has gotten great feedback, but I've gotten so much out of this conversation, and I thank you so much. And one of the big takeaways is that we keep saying, hey, we'll become a Risha priest way down the line. You know, I got 10, 20 years. We'll wait to do that. But hearing you talk, I want to see how Shango shows up for me.
Ashe?
I want to see how Yemo Josh shows up for me.
Ashe, yeah.
Right.
So you're starting to shift and make me change my mind.
Right.
Ashe, heck yeah. Do it. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So do you have anything that you want to promote? Anything that you're doing, ways that people can keep in touch with you? Or
absolutely. So for you can follow me on IG. It's Iya Asabi. I need to post more, but I do post on my stories from time to time. So you can follow me there. I'm actually getting ready to launch a spiritual business called Broom Closet Sorcery with my god sister Danielle. She is Iya Oshunfumilayo, also out of New York here. So broomclosetsorcery.com. We're going to launch it probably at the end of September, but definitely before October. So please, write it down, send an email, broomclosetsorcery@gmail.com, but it'll have all of the spiritual things, the baths, the sprays, the readings, all of the things that people might be looking for from us. It will be there. So there's that. If anyone in the New York area is looking for, some spiritual fellowship or, an EFOB-based village, please email oidsiny@gmail.com. We'll put you on the email list for all the things we do. Our Itado Goons, we do other things for the public. So please, send an email, just, put me on the email list. We'll put you on immediately. We'll send you out all the things. And, I got to shout out my guy. So if you're looking for a Babalao in New York, Baba Fabalasi is amazing. And you can find him on his website, which is fabalasi.com. So, and he also has an Instagram, which is Fabalasi. But yeah, I think that's all the things. Yeah. Thank you so much to the both of you for, it's an honor and a pleasure, to talk about Ifa. Being a priest is probably, outside of my children, probably the best thing that I have done in my life. So I'm so proud and humbled to be a priest. And so just very humbled and, honored to be, on your show, on your podcast, to talk about Ifa and Oya and the divine feminine. So thank you so much for inviting me and for having me.
Oh yeah, we appreciate you again. We thank you for taking time out of your schedule. We know that you thought that this was only going to be audio, so
yes, please make sure you tell all the other women, right? Okay, so that they can be dressed.
Right,
absolutely.
Because I was like, I just got in, I took a shower. I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know, what I'm going to throw on right now. So thank you for, dealing with me and giving me some time to throw some stuff on. I appreciate y'all.
Oh, no problem. No problem.
No problem. Thank you again. And thank you everyone for tuning in. We told you we're going to take you on a journey with us. Try to figure out the divine feminine. One of the things that I love about Oya is, personally, she teaches me that calm, that stillness in the middle of a hurricane,
Ashe.
in the middle of a tornado, in the middle of a disaster, to not always react, but to be still.
Ashe.
So we honor the divine feminine, and we hope to keep growing down this path of understanding what the divine feminine means for us. So thank you guys for tuning in. We hope to see you next week. We love you. And remember, life's a journey. Don't forget the map. Peace.
Peace.